I'm so excited to be able to be here and share some really cool information about the CPA and what is a designation, and most importantly, what we want to do today is to be able to give you all the tools and resources and the information in hand to be able to decide whether, in fact, business is something that you might be I'm interested in, right? So down the road, what kind of jobs and careers are out there as a CPA will be my main focus. And ultimately, what we want to do is to break some of the stereotypes that you may have as to what CPAs do and what they actually do in the real world in a context. So I'm very pleased today to be able to share with you all the information. And we have a CPA, Mark, that's on the call as well. And he will share with you later on as to what he does. And he has a really cool background as to what he does and what he does right now as a CPA. All right. So we have a lot in store for you right now. Please let us know your questions in the chat box. I'll be keeping my eye out for your feedback, or if you need me to re-explain anything, we'll give you the opportunity to be able to be as engaged as possible. All right. So with that, let's jump right into the CPA in a workshop. What does the future of CPA look like? Okay. So just to give you a bit of my background, again, my name is Levine Jose. I am a student recruiter at CPA Ontario, and my main job is to be able to share all the amazing opportunities that are out there if you decide to become a CPA. And my main job as well is to help high school students to be able to build their brand, build their soft skills, and build themselves up so that when they get to university or college, you are ready to take on the next step. Okay. A bit about myself. I was born in Malaysia and I was raised in Johannesburg. I'm not sure if you guys know where that is in the world right now, but it's pretty far from Canada. So, and I came to Canada back in 2012 to do my degree in marketing. Fast forward, I'm at CPA Ontario right now. I love what I do, and I would love to, answer as many things as you may want to know about Malaysia or Johannesburg. I'm here for you. Okay, so with that, let's get right into it. By the end of this workshop, again, just to reinforce what you learn, you'll get a better understanding as to what a CPA is, jobs and careers in the market in the future when you do graduate yourself. And most importantly, and you'll learn this about me, is that I'm a huge supporter of you finding your passion, right? Right now, I can imagine you're in high school, you want to be successful, and there's a lot of things out there. There's so many options, especially in your generation. There's so many cool things to do. So what I want to help you to find out is what are the tangible things that you can do as a CPA. Okay, let's get our heads together and find out what you can love and what does a day in the life of a CPA look like as well. Okay, so with that, let's start off with defining what is a designation. Okay, does anyone here know what CPA stands for? I wish I was in person with you, but normally I'll give you a gift for being able to guess what CPA stands for. But I'm gonna keep my eye out on the chat box. And Keaton, if you want to help me out, if you can, help me out and tell me who guessed it right in the chat box. All right. Talha, yes, awesome. And I see a few more.
Guessed it right. And he guessed it right.
Okay, fantastic, everyone. Great job. Now, if you said certified, be careful, it's actually chartered, professional accountant. Okay, so that's what CPA stands for. But what does it mean? It is a designation. So I'm going to choose the first one that gets it right in the chat box. Your Talha, if you're out there, let's just say if you become a CPA one day, right? What does that mean to you? Is that it's a brand that goes right next to your name. It is a qualification, specifically a designation, and it lets everyone in the world know that you're extremely, that you're extremely skilled, knowledgeable, and competent in accounting. All right. So it just says that you are the expert when it comes to anything to do with accounting. But to take it one step further, why is it different to a degree program? It's more specialized. And number two is that once you get a designation like a CPA, you are part of a membership. All right. And to maintain your membership as a CPA, you have to pay member dues. You have to comply with the rules and regulations of the designation. And ultimately, what does that for you is that people can trust you, right? If you are being regulated by a board, people can ultimately trust you more than a non-CPA, which is why CPAs really stand out. They're very specialized, and people want to do the business with them because they can trust CPAs in doing a good job, right? So that's what a designation is, and that's what CPA is in the grand scheme of things, all right? But what I want to ask you is that designations does not just apply to CPAs, right? You can get a designation in different fields out there. Does anyone want to guess what kind of professions may require a designation? Let me know in the chat box. I'll give you a second here while I get the answers in. Exactly, Ryan. Being a physician, got it. Yes, Tisha, you're right, but outside of the accounting sphere. So like Lorianne mentioned, being a doctor is definitely that. Being a physician, 100%. Think about high-level jobs, becoming a teacher, becoming an engineer, for example, right? Becoming a nurse, right? Becoming a veterinarian, a dentist, a lawyer. These are the sort of lines of work that will require a designation for you to be able to practice. In accounting, what you need to know, though, is that CPA is the ultimate designation in North America, right? So that, in a nutshell, what is a CPA and where does it fall in the grand scheme of things, all right? But let's move on from here. Let's get into the fun part. What do CPAs do? And what can you do for yourself based on what CPAs have done in the past, right? So what I want to give you a context here is that when I was in high school, and I'm sure a lot of you on the call right now might be thinking, being in accounting only means that you work on balance sheets, financial statements, data, numbers all day long. While that's a huge fundamental of what it takes to become an accountant, once you become a CPA, though, that's when it changes, right? You can build your own company, right? You can work anywhere in the world. You can work in any sector of your passion. So if you want to work in the real estate, in the data, your tech sector, you can literally do whatever it is that you want with the knowledge that you have as a CPA. And that is what is really fascinating and what a lot of you may not know. So what I want to do right now is showcase for you a few CPAs, and you'll also meet a CPA later on. But for now, let's take a look at our first CPA here. His name is Vincent Liu. Really cool guy. He's an amazing CPA. And if you love tech out there, if you love to be in that space in technology as a CPA, that is so doable. His story is this. He built his own company called Butter, which is a management app. So what does that mean? If you have multiple subscriptions like Netflix, DAZN, ESPN, Disney Plus, you can pay for it on his app, and in return, you get back 5% in cash back. Amazing, simple idea, right? You make money on bills that you already have to pay for. And he did extremely well. He co-founded this with a developer and started with nothing, got a bunch of investors involved, built it to a multi-million-dollar business, and just last year he sold it for a ton of cash. I wish I could say how much, but I can't, unfortunately. Just know that it was a lot of money, but yeah, he did amazingly well there. And then after that, he now works at Square. I'm not sure if you know what Square is, but it's a payment gateway that small businesses normally use with an iPad, right? So it's a really cool tech company. He's doing extremely well on the stock market, and he's a senior marketing manager at Square. So again, in terms of what you can do as a CPA, if you love tech, if you love to build your own company, if you even want to work in the marketing department, you can use your skill sets as a CPA because it is so malleable as to what you can do, okay? So that is my first CPA that I really want to shine some knowledge on. The next CPA is all about social change. If you want to make the world a better place, having a CPA does give you the tool sets to be able to make a difference. And that is her case here with Chioma. She actually won the Entrepreneur of the Year back in 2017 for what she built a platform called the Winning Circle. And essentially what that is was that it let women across the world to connect and to be able to build companies on their own in a safe space. She's helped shape thousands of lives. She's a huge passion for non-for-profits and volunteering, right? Being able to make, again, the world a better place. And that is what she did. She's doing extremely well, and she's recognized across the world for her success as well, right? So it's not just about building a multi-million-dollar company, it's about making the world a better place too. And that's, again, the beauty of a CPA is that once you get it, you have the power and ultimate say of what you do and how you go about doing it as well, all right? So again, it's beyond a balance sheet, it's beyond the social impact that you can make in the world, right? So a few benefits, I'm going to walk you through really quickly. What are the benefits? If you're going to work anywhere in the globe, I'm sure all of you can't travel right now, like myself. But once we do go back to normalcy, being able to work anywhere in the world is something that I do recommend. And having a CPA gives you the opportunity because it's recognized across the world. So we have CPAs right now that work in Hong Kong, the States, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, UAE, and Australia. All these countries are really amazing. Some of them are really much warmer than Canada is in the winter. But the tip of the iceberg here is that they make up to $165,000 per year, right? Not only can you work anywhere in the world, but you can make sufficient money. I mean, adequate, more than adequate money while working anywhere in the world. Okay. I'm going to segue here and share with you what I think are really important skill sets to have outside of just having the technical expertise. What I want you to do in the chat box really quickly for me, so let me know what you think soft skills are and give me a few examples of what soft skills look like. I'm sure all of you are very well versed with this, but I just wanted to, fantastic, I love it. Communication is 100% right at the top there. Leadership, I love that, Ryan. Akash, you hit the gold mine there. Listening skills. A lot of people are so focused on trying to say their things and getting their ideas out there, but how many of us actually take the time and listen to people? Not too often, right? So I love all the answers here. Teamwork is a huge one. Thank you so much to whoever said that. Fantastic. I love it. And I'm sure all of you out there has been in a group where one person doesn't do any work. I've definitely been in a group like that. I hope you would never be in that situation, but if it does, what do you do, right? So these are soft skills that are really important for you to be able to, focus on. I'm glad that you went for a few, workshops to be able to build that, because truly what I want to do on behalf of CPA is that we talk to big employers like Nike, Google, Starbucks, and all these companies are telling us that soft skills is something they really look forward to, right? When someone on paper has the same qualification, most likely the person that has better soft skills are the ones that get the job, right? So soft skills is huge, and I'm sure all of you get it, but these are a few examples that I want you to know. Being able to communicate, like all of you mentioned, being able to lead people, galvanize people, mobilize people, solving problems on the go, adaptability and self-management, teamwork skills, and most importantly, being a professional. This is something that I really want you to hear out. A lot of people are very smart in the world, but they use it for the wrong reasons, right? So please be like your name is your brand, and whatever you do with that reflects who you are as a person. And if you start to play with who you are and do unethical stuff, it's highly detrimental to yourself down the road, right? So being a professional is huge, and that's what being a CPA is all about, right? To the idea of being able to work anywhere, again, I'm not sure if you get this idea, but you can work in the non-profit sector, you can build your own company, consulting, manufacturing, again, very malleable. Pick a sector, I'm sure as a CPA, that does work there, okay? Now, this is the tip of the iceberg where I love to showcase this. I know how many of you out there want to work at Google or Starbucks or Nike or in Amazon, Adidas, right? These are well-known companies out there. And what I want to tell you right now is that CPAs work in all these companies, right? one fact that I want to share with all of you here is that 85% of jobs last year were gotten from networking. All right, let that sink in for a second. 85% of all the jobs in the world were gotten from networking. So if you're not getting the right qualifications, if you're not meeting the right people, you're already at a disadvantage, right? So how do you do that? Is you want to be able to get a CPA, you want to be able to get a degree at a top university like Waterloo, for example, right? You're building your networks while getting a good qualification, right? So let's just say once you become a CPA, you have a CPA that works at Google, for example, right? I automatically have someone, a network that I can bond with to be able to help me get a job at Google, right? So automatically you have the advantage over there, right? So I'm going to leave it there, but basically being able to get a CPA really opens up all these amazing doors, okay? Now, the future of the profession. A lot of people are saying, Levine, and I get this all the time, like with AI and all this, does it eliminate a lot of the jobs that accountants do? And to that, I say it does make the life of an accountant easier, but that only gives CPAs the ability to use their time to build on strategies, right? So the mundane work that now softwares and AI can do is fantastic. It actually makes a CPA's life better because now CPAs have more time to be able to focus on how can we build a company, how can we allocate the right resources financially to be able to build the next Microsoft, right? So it's like being able to use the time more efficiently. So these are a few sectors right now where CPAs have a huge impact in. Sectors like data science, analytics, AI, robotics, right? So we will hear from Mark later on. He is a CPA and he's on the call right now, and he will showcase for you the work that he does in these sectors right now as we speak, right? So the future of profession is bright. If you become a CPA, you can also work in all these sectors and have a huge impact in them as well. Okay, fantastic, great. So let's talk about money really quickly. How much money can you earn? Does anyone here on the chat box, do you know what is the average salary right now at your first job out of university or college? Anyone want to give me a guess? Keaton and Farah, if you want to, hop into and give me your guess, by all means.
Not very much. I'm going to say 35 grand a year.
That's very close, Keaton. Yes, that is definitely more more realistic, I would say. I see some people here said 80K, 75K. If you guys find that job, let me know. Let Keaton know, let Farah know, because we would love to we would love to know what that job is. But for the most part, the national average right now is $40,000. And I think, Waterloo, I think you got that right. So really good job on you. $40,000 per year is the average salary, right? So with that in mind, I'm just going to show you how much CPAs make on average, right? So the moment you get your CPA, you can earn up to $91,000 as you get 4 years of work experience. And as you can tell with the graph, as you get more experience, you ultimately get more money as you grow in the company, or if you build your own company, whatever it may be. But this is a good meter as to what you be making on average with this many years of work experience. So as you can tell, with the moment you get your CPA, you automatically just make more money. It's just what it is, right? And not to mention, you get considered for the promotions at the company as well, right? So having a CPA really does give you the edge. With that being said, though, I really want you to focus on your passion as opposed to the money. It's a fine line, right? You don't want to be oblivious to how much money you can make in the profession that you choose. However, the emphasis that you have on how much money you make shouldn't supersede the passion that you have in what you do. So find your passion first, and with time, money will come, and understand how much money you can make at the same time, right? Perfect. So awesome. With that, I want to show you really quickly on how to become a CPA. If you decide that, I mean, not now, but down the road, if you want to become a CPA, I want you to give you the big picture of what you need to have to becoming a CPA. First things first, no surprise here, getting a diploma from your high school is the first step. Now, the real journey begins once you start university or college. Now, you want to get a degree, right? Now, a lot of people think that you need to get a degree in business. It's not the case, right? You can get a degree in the sciences, you can get a degree in the arts, whatever it may be. What we require at CPA is you to complete all the 14 courses that you see on the slide right now, right? So these are the courses that can range from first year, second year to third year business courses, right? I'm sure, Keaton and Farah, you might be, familiar with some of these courses right now, but this is what you need to have on paper at university or college to then qualify for the CPA program, okay? So once you get your degree with all those 14 courses, that's when you come to us at CPA Ontario and you enroll as a CPA student. And what is required for you to do is to complete a 2-year program at CPA Ontario online. And it's done over the course of 2 years. Now, to get a designation is not only exams and tests and group work. You are also required to work full-time while doing a program at CPA Ontario, okay? So it's really important. A lot of people negate the need to do the work experience. You'd be surprised. I have a lot of people here that does the CPA program, but forget that they need the work experience. So just know for now that you do require to have work experience for 30 months, and the amalgamation of the program and the work experience is what gets your CPA. Obviously, there'll be a final examination at the end of the program. You have to pass that, and that's how you get your CPA. Okay, so if you have any questions about this, please let me know. Obviously, there are specific things here that you might want to know more information about, and I'm really happy to answer it later on. But please keep your questions in the chat box, and we'll get back to you. All right. Now, one thing I do want to say here is a hot tip for all of you out there, right? And this will give you a huge advantage here, is that note that if you get a co-op experience in university or college, you can transfer up to 12 months to the experience that is required to getting a CPA. So you can actually save time after graduation by 12 months. And to land co-ops is really, really, really competitive, right? So I will argue that your journey actually begins in high school, because you want to be as involved, you want to get really good grades, and you want to stand out to get those co-op jobs at university or college. All right. So I'll share with something at CPA Ontario called the Ambassador Program, which I highly recommend all of you to join. It's going to really look good in your application to university or college. All right. So hang tight, and I'll share with you that in a second. A few more facts for you if you're taking notes. There are about 94,000 CPA members. In the top 500 companies on the stock market, we have CPAs that work there. And this is a really cool fact. 75% of CFOs in Canada have their CPA designation, right? If you don't know what a CFO, wait, I'm going to ask all of you right now in the chat box, do you know what a CFO stands for? What does the CFO stand for? Anyone here want to give a... Yes, perfect. Ryan, great job. Kennedy, great job too. It's actually Chief Financial Officer. That is the actual term. Now, he or she who is the CFO is the ultimate decision maker on anything to do with finance at a company, right? It's one of the highest paid roles at a company. 75% of CFOs have a CPA designation. That says something, right? To become a CFO at that level, kind of like having a CPA really sets you apart, right? So long story short, the CPA brand really will take you places. We have facts and figures that help support you in deciding on whether or not the future of the designation is bright. It definitely is. But yeah, I really hope that helps you give the information that you need to be able to understand whether or not this is for me. All right. Now, what I want to do really quickly right now is to shift gears and share with you the ambassador program that we have at CPA Ontario. Um, it's a great program, and I'm going to walk you through some of the main benefits of being part of the program. Right. First and foremost, if you want to be able to network with CPAs like Mark that you will hear from, this is a great way for you to be able to get the experience. We have competitions, resources, and a bunch of amazing things that you can get access for free of charge. There's no cost to join the program, and there's no cost to partake in any of the events or competitions. All right. So the first step that you want to do is to go to cpontario.ca/HAP. I'll put that link in the chat box later on, so it's easier for you to be able to know where that is. All you have to do is fill out your information on this webpage. And step 2, if you're below 18, which I'm sure a lot of you are, submit a consent form to us at CPA Ontario. Right? You can send it to me, or you can send it to CPA Ontario. But as long as we get it, that's when you can join the ambassador program. It's very simple. Again, no cost. Now, one of the things that we have in store for you is that we get CPAs to run financial workshops, right? Being financially savvy doesn't matter if you become a CPA or not. It's something that will really help you in your life, right? Regardless of whatever you do. So we have a workshop series focused on building your knowledge in finance, right? It's normally 1 hour in a workshop from 4 to 5 p.m. Our next one is on March 4th. It's based on banking basics. We have one on slaying your taxes. What is taxes and how much do you pay? And you'd be surprised. Once you start working, taxes is a huge part of your life. You pay a lot in taxes, right? So you want to get to know what are taxes and what you should do with them, and scholarships and bursaries, right? Any one of you out there that are in grade 12 and we want to be able to give you all the information as to where are the scholarships, where are the bursaries, right? This is something that you really want to know so you can save money in the long term, right? So it's a really great series. We also give you a certificate of just by going to the workshop. So you will get a certificate of participation that you can use to add to your resumes, which is really good. And yeah, so please join this series. That's one of the many things that we do offer. The next thing we have is called Discovery Day, right? This is a really good event. It's happening on March 8th. Please save this in your calendar. Truly, because this event, I wish I had this back in high school, because it will give you the opportunity to know all the careers that are out there if you become a CPA. And we have Cineplex and RBC that will give you in-depth knowledge as to what's happening, right, in the world market right now. So please save this date on March 8th from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and sign up, right? It's a really cool opportunity for you to also network online with the executives at these companies. The next one is we have a case competition. Great news. This is our first time that we are having it this year at CPA Ontario. Not only do we have a case competition, but we also have a 1 hour workshop on how to solve a case competition, right? So we have a one-on-one rundown as to how to solve a case competition from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on March 25th. Now, we have about 70 students that have signed up. Spots are limited, so please hurry up for this one. Now, once you do sign up for this, our actual case competition is happening on April 16th to the 18th. Now, this you have to work in groups of your 3. Now, once you join the one-on-one workshop, we will help you find your teammates, all right, for the actual case competition. Now, first place for this will receive $500 and a plaque, which is really cool. And yeah, no, I think it's a really good way to be able to build your knowledge on how to solve case competitions. I'm sure all of you here are very well versed with it, just knowing that you're at DECA right now, but let's take it to the next level and really get you to becoming the experts when it comes to cases, okay? Last but not least, No Limits Conference. is happening on May 13th this year. I'm not sure if you know what No Limits is, but if you do, fantastic. If you don't, No Limits is a 2-hour virtual conference that is designed for all the members in our program. It gives you the ability to build your soft skills, be able to network with different high school students across Ontario, be able to learn on degree programs, and also meet CPAs, right? In short, it's a great learning experience. You will get a lot of it. If CPA is something that you think that is for you, even if it's not, it's a great experience just to be able to be part of the conference. Okay, so that is we have just one more thing. We also have partnered with universities to showcase for you what's it like being at the university, right? Like we have CPAs that will come out and speak on behalf of the universities. We will have a panel of students from university as well. And yeah, it's a really good event. Again, the main call to action here is to join the ambassador program, and this is at your fingertips, right? So that's my main call to action to all of you, is to sign up as the ambassador program, okay? And these are all of the companies and organizations that we partner up with. University of Waterloo is high up there, and yeah, we are so involved. So once you get involved with this indirectly, you will get to know what's happening at all of these organizations, because we sponsor all of them, right? So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity, and I hope that all of you have learned something from here. And again, if you have any questions about the ambassador program, about how to get your CPA, anything about the CPA, please let me know in the chat box, and we'll get back to you at the end. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Mark, which is what I'm sure all of you really want to hear more from. He's an actual CPA. He is he's doing so many really cool things. He actually just got his CPA quite recently, and as he entered the job market, he has gone and dipped into different sectors in data, AI, and really cool things that I think a lot of you want to know more about. What can a CPA do in this sector? So I'm really happy to be able to either introduce Mark, and Mark, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Lafing. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank DECA and the CPA for having me. It's my great honor to be here. And secondly, I want to thank every one of you guys for not only just attending this virtual event, but also at this special time, being a good citizen, stay at home, following the order. Your sacrifice is much needed at this special time. So a big shout out to you guys. I'm pretty sure we are at the end of we can see the light in the end of the tunnel. For me, it's pretty much been a year since I have been, studying at home and work at home. So I hope like this situation can end sooner or later, so we can go back to the normal life. It's a beautiful day outside, but the fact that you guys, stay at home attending this event, I really hope you can get most out of it. So without further ado, let me quickly go introduce myself. So my name is Mark. Is that like a yeah? So I'm currently working as a data visualization developer. That's my official title at Sensor AI. So which I will so for Sensor AI, which I will get to later, it's a new startup based on Toronto that focuses on AI platform. Our main client is the banks, the major banks or any other financial institution. And for my education background, I do have a bachelor degree, specialization in accounting. And last year, I also got my master degree in AI. And in between, I have been working with CAA for 4 years. That's the time where I got my CPA designation. So very quickly, I think so far with my hybrid background of both business and technology, I have to say my career aspiration is really trying to use the technology to help employee or the client to solve real business problems. Even though my day-to-day tasks has nothing to do with accounting anymore, I have to say that CPA and my business background really helps me in a long way, which I will get to later on. So if we can go back to next slide. So my first employer, it's a CAA. So if your parents ever driving a car, they are probably a client of the CAA because they are the Canadian largest roadside membership service company. So it's my first employer since 2015 to 2019, where I just got out of university when I was looking for a job. CAA, I joined the CAA as a fresh grad. So in the past, when I was there during the 4 years period of time, so I have been rotated into different roles. I started off as an accounting associate, then I was transferred, or you can say I was promoted to accountant, doing the financial reporting, and then I was transferred to the internal audit. So there are a couple of reasons why I was keep moving around. The first reason is like I always like curious about like new stuff. Like I always try to learn as much as I can. So once I stay in a role for over a year, I always ask, if there's anything new, if there's anything other stuff, any other team working on the cool projects that I can be part of. So I will ask my boss, to help me with those transfer. And the other manager, they are willing to consider me as part of the internal candidate. They know like how I work. I can help them in some way. They can like in some way help them solve the problems as well. The second reason is that in the CPA program, you are required to get a different exposure to different areas. So that's the breadth of the CPA like per experience. And my mentor, CPA mentor, who happens to be the director of the department, he knows that I'm working on the CPA program. He is willing to give me accommodation in terms of, okay, if that's something you want, if that's something you are interested in, they are willing to help me to make all those transfer possible. So that's another really big benefit of being like in the CPA program. If your employer knows you are in the CPA, they are willing to invest on you because they know you are motivated to do the CPA. You are also a key learner. They will help you to get there. So that's really something I have to mention. And in the 2019, after I completed my CPA program, so I saw like all these things is changing, like outside of the technology within the company. So I feel like, okay, if there's something new, it's a good time for me to take risks. It's a good time for me. Like I want to keep exploring. I already have my CPA designation. I already have a good base I can expand. That's where in 2019 September, I decided to leave CPA and I pursue my master's degree in artificial intelligence. So in that program, that's where I pick up some fundamental technical skills, such as Python, R, all those popular like software in the market right now. That's where I begin my journey in the artificial intelligence. So if you have this concern, okay, if getting a CPA, if let's say if you have to commit in accounting, that is not true. It's definitely a base you can expand. Follow your passion, like Rafin says. CPA will not stop you from doing that. It will only help you for achieving whatever your career goal or life goal, whatever that is. So if we get, next slide, please. So yeah, so I cannot really talk about my career without talking about my CPA journey. So like Rafin says, like the CPA took 2 years part-time. If you are accounting student, it usually will take 2 years part-time. Like you are working full-time and you studying part-time. But if you are like a science student who has no accounting background, probably will take a little bit longer. But eventually you will get there. And in the end of the 2-year study, it's like you have to pass a 3 days exam, which is brutal. I did it like 2 or 3 years ago, but I still remember it's really a long and brutal experience. First day, 4 hours, second day, 5 hours, the third day, 4 hours. So it's like back to back to back. I mean, it's not only a test for your technology, but it's also a test for your like stamina or like energy. You have to stay focused throughout the 3 days. So on the other hand, it's like you have to do like 3 hours, like 13-month working experience. That's where you have to get usually like CPA approved working experience, getting signed off by someone who has CPA designation probably, and the CPA like agree with okay, that the level of the work you are doing, it's gonna be accepted by CPA. That's where you pass the PERT requirement. The reason why I was rotating because part of the requirement is for me to achieve the breadth of the working experience, I have to have different exposures. So it's definitely a learning journey for me. Definitely like that's also part of the one of the challenging that you are going to face throughout the CPA program. But don't worry, usually your employer, knowing that you are in the CPA program, they are more than happy to help you guide, especially if in your organization you have some CPA, like already like a designated CPA, colleagues, they will help you along the journey. So that's where a good opportunity also for you to build a relationship with other CPA as well. So officially, I got designated in November 2019. CPA sent you a very nice letter. They will send you the certificate. That's where you can put it in the frame. You know, just like you a diploma. That's something you can really take pride of yourself. And there, of course, there's a big graduation ceremony. I missed that, which I regret. But for everybody who spent so much time and energy, which I guess most of you guys will go to the ceremony, and it's just a really, you know, it's really a memorable time for you. So after I go back to school, finishing my master program, I joined the startup in 2020. I officially started in November after my master degree, and during my 12-month master program, I have had a 8-month internship with Food Banks Canada as well. So I was working with as a junior data scientist, helping them with some cool projects as well. But after I graduated, I joined Senso AI. So this is a company that worked in the fintech industry, and it was ranked as the 25 machine learning startup to watch in 2019 by Forbes. So so definitely one of the surprise I enjoy working at a startup most is that, again, it's like endless opportunity for you to learn compared to the corporate job I used to have. So there was no there was no longer no like framework for you to, you know, you have to do this, follow the procedure, do this day to day. Every day is pretty much repeated. Join a startup, like every day is a new day. Like your boss will just tell you what this is the problem we are trying to solve. I would say nobody knows how to do that. That's where you have to, you know, go in there, figuring out the process, really like just being creative. You know, the results will speak for yourself. And it's a small startup. We have like 20 people. Everybody is like really, there's no hierarchy, there's no bureaucracy, which is something I really enjoy. And of course, the work it's a lot more challenge, at least for me, who I cannot say I'm an expert in the AI field, but at least I have one foot into the door. A lot of learning, which I enjoyed a lot. That's definitely something I want to go in the future. So again, as I said, my role is a data visualization developer. So basically, my role is to bridge, is a bridge between the business team and the data science team or the AI technical team, which I help them communicate and you know, trying to like defining what's the business problem is, and which will guide the team to do any research or develop any AI model per se. So basically, said that's my journey so far. So to conclude my story, you know, I guess it's I just want to maybe to share with some of my life experience. I'm not here to motivate you guys, because I think being part of the DECA, you guys are very motivated. The fact that you guys are participating in this event on Saturday morning, you guys don't need any more motivation. But I do think there's something to learn from there's something to learn. The best teacher is your own experience, or maybe some experience from other people. So if there's something I want to share is that, being such young age like you guys, be a risk taker. I mean, there are so many things you guys can do. Step out of your comfort zone. You can start doing that just by participating in those events that I think just mentioned. Once you go to university, there are so many networking events. There are so many opportunities out there, but you are the one have to put yourself out there and talking to the stranger. Nobody likes networking. It's not a secret, but that's something you really have to do. You guys have to put yourself out there and really explore what you really like. Which leads me to the next point, just stay curious. Being a CPA is it's a learning experience. Even after I getting designated, I still have to put many hours required by the CPA to learn new stuffs. My first AI course, actually, I learned my first AI course actually through CPA program, the first Python course coding. So CPA is really a good platform, which will push you keep learning. So that's something I want to mention as well. Last but not least, it's maybe finding a good mentor will go a long way. My mentor is that someone I peer through the CPA program. So in the CPA program, you are required to find a CPA mentor. A CPA program will help you get a mentor as well, but usually that's someone who is working in the same organization, who already got a CPA, etc., etc. Like I mentioned before, my director at that time happened to be my mentor. So he's the one making all this rotation possible. And he's also the one encouraging me, to pursue AI, because if he says, if you are the only one who can driving your own career, if that's something you are passionate about, go for it. That's what leaves me here. That's what really take me getting to a position that I'm happy right now. Of course, the financial compensation, everything, all that, it's very fair. So I would say yes, a good mentor will go a long way. So that's really everything I have to say. So I hope you really get most of it. So really, thank you guys.
Thank you, Mark. That was really, really great. I was taking some notes here as you were speaking about your background and your experience, and it's really cool. I mean, to see someone that has done your CPA and then from there to decide that you want to go into an AI, and it's such a unique merge of two different worlds, and it does collide. I'm guessing very well right now, and one of the things that I did want to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are very curious about, is what does the day of your life looks like at work? Like, what are the biggest things that are on your plate? If you could name one really cool project, if you could, so that it gives an idea as to what life in an AI in a company looks like.
So my day-to-day job, of course, has something a lot of to do with the data. So that's just part of being the AI world. You have to accept, you deal with the numbers all the time. At CP, when I was in the traditional role, doing accounting stuff, all the data we can handle by spreadsheet Excel. But once you move away from that traditional accounting role, move to the AI role, we're still with the data, but the data can be no longer stored in the Excel spreadsheet. So it's always going to be the other tools like Python, SQL, which you guys will maybe get exposure to later on. But it's we deal with the data a lot from day-to-day life. There's a lot of data manipulation, data wrangling. It's going to happen. The other piece is human interaction. So whatever the AI model is going to do, in the end of the day, you have to convince your boss. You have to convince the client, say, okay, take our model, take our products. That's where really a communication or whatever, your domain knowledge comes in. For example, being a CPA, I can easily translate the results into translating, okay, how this is gonna impact your bottom line. it's either gonna make you extra X amount of more money, or it's gonna save you Y amount of cost. So that's something really I do constantly. That's really something that's part of my day-to-day job as well.
Awesome.
So
Awesome, Mark. And for a lot of the audience right now, they're in high school. If you were to go back in time into your high school, what would you give your what would be the one advice, or what would you do differently maybe to yourself in high school?
yeah, okay. So that's an interesting question. So when I was in high school, like grade 11, grade 12, that's just the time when you have to consider what you're gonna pursue in university. To be honest with you, I have no idea. Is that something like I want to commit to? I don't know. I just not sure. So I signed up in accounting. Like it's just maybe under some influence with friends or parents. But I know I want to be in the business world. Whether accounting, finance, really, I really haven't made my mind. I heard about the CPA when I was in the first year in university. Right, because I'm an accounting student. Like everybody is obligated to know CPA. So I know that I just know I just sign up for it, and that's a decision I will never regret for. It's really very rewarding so far. So really, my advice is just keep looking, keep exploring, always stay curious. Just the best way is go to those events. Listen to the people. It might not be something you are looking for, but it's okay. What if you pick up something that you really like? That's really gonna change a lot, right?
I love that.
And the last thing is what do you learn in school? Will not dictate what you're doing in the future. I really don't think so. So you really, it's a good time, to really just explore, especially when you are so young. It's just really, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that too. I think, when back when I was in high school, this was like 12 years ago, I think it's a long time ago. It was a very different time to what it's right now, because I remember back then, there was slots, right? Like if you become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you become an engineer, or you're in business. And business was just like very broad, right? It was just like business. But now I find that there's more, options, and there's like more interesting things that are out there if you dissect it, right? And that's really interesting because you're not locked into one one kind of job, unless if you become a doctor, obviously, like you have to become a doctor. But I find even that, you can use skill sets and different knowledge and merge it into who you are. And I think the different qualification that you get makes you more unique, I feel. And if you layer on your CPA onto that, it actually does set you apart. So it sounds even cooler, or it's more unique that you're an AI and have your CPA. As someone who's just done AI and sciences in university, so it gives you a certain flavor as to who you are, and that makes you more marketable. So I think that's really cool, Mark. One more thing that
exactly.
Sorry, just
just one.
Go ahead, Mark.
It's okay. Yeah. Just one quick comment. Right now, what I see in the markets right now, there's a huge demand for people can really bridge the business to the AI, to the tech team. There are a lot of technical people. There are a lot of business people out there, but in between there's a gap. So that's really where the market is really in huge demand right now. Yeah. So that's the
Awesome.
comment I just want to make.
Awesome, Mark.
Sorry,
I think just for time's sake.
Just want to interrupt. Because of the time, we'll just go ahead to the Q&A. So a lot of people have sent in questions in the Q&A function. Let's see.
Guys, we'll go a bit over time here, so don't worry. We'll get to some of your questions.
To start off, so there was a question. Why did you want to be an accountant, and what was the hardest part of getting a CPA?
Sorry, I didn't get the second part. What's the second?
What was the hardest part of getting a CPA?
was the hardest part. So like I become CPA, of course. It's just like I happen like the reason I want to become CPA is because a lot of when I was in accounting program, like majority of people sign up for the CPA. I just follow the trend. But what I realized in hindsight, like I realized like just like enrolled in the CPA when you're just fresh out of school with not without a lot of working experience, being signed up like in the CPA program, saying like you are a CPA candidate will give you an edge in terms of the job market. A lot of big corporates, a lot of employers, when they know you are in the CPA program, they know like, okay, this guy, well, it's going to be motivated, so he's gonna be keep learning, and he will eventually develop a specialty that can do this job. So I just want, yeah, so that's part of the reason why I want to be like a CPA. And the hardest part, of course, is like balance between studying and work, etc. Full-time job is not easy, and plus on top of that you have to like part-time like study. It's just like when you just got off school, when you think, okay, I'm done with all the exams, homework, you just went right back to it. So but that's something like you have to balance. I mean, but eventually I would just have to say it's worth it. It's very rewarding, especially when you're still young. That's a good time to just keep pursuing education, like get more studying done. Yeah, so
Awesome. There's one more great question. Do you have any tips for high school students who are now choosing their university pathways? What is your advice for aligning your passions with your job and choosing what you want to do for a living?
I mean, first of all, like really just find out really like what you really like to do, passion. I know it's not easy. I know it's really hard. I didn't know back then what my passion is. Maybe I have like a couple friends who really know. Like one of my friend, he likes car, so he has been working as a mechanical engineering, working for Toyota, being like really deep into the electrical cars. So I know he's the guy, one of the very few people who really following their passion, who is really doing really well for himself. But for a lot of people like who hasn't really figured out yet, so like I said, like keep exploring, step out of your comfort zone. One way I feel like it's good thing to do is really go to those events, talking to the expert in the industry, like listening to their information. As you have more information, eventually you will make the right decision. So basically that's my advice.
That's really great, Mark. If I could just add just one thing really quickly here is that I feel too, and Mark, yeah, let me know if you do agree with me here, is that I find that there's a huge pressure to find your passion too. Within the past 2-3 years, I feel like there's this overwhelming pressure that you have to love your job, which is, I'm saying that you should love your job, but there may be stuff that you might not love, because with every job out there comes baggage, right? Like you won't, I mean, like it's just realistic to have some things that are things that you may not want to do, but in the bigger picture, you have a vision of what you want to achieve, and you love and are passionate about the vision that you want to achieve. Along the way, there will be challenges, right? It will be difficult, and there are days where you're like, oh my gosh, I just hate what I do. But it's when you can power through using your long-term passion and vision to solve the day-to-day mundane aspects of the job, right? So don't put too much pressure in saying like, I gotta love every aspect of the job. Have a realistic expectation in having a passion for the long-term vision of the role. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, basically what I see is that the reason why I really love or like my job right now is doing is because I like the problem that our company or the organization is trying to solve. I know in the end of the day, if we really did it, it's going to have a huge impact. So that's really the top thing I'm concerned about. In terms of the nitty gritty day to day, of course, they're like maybe 10%, 20%. It's not that cool. It's not that fancy. But when I think about the long term, like you said, the problem, the mission that we are trying to achieve, I feel like it's worth it. I'm just gonna keep powering through all those hurdles, the downtime, etc., etc. Eventually, hoping one day we will get there. So, yeah.
Awesome. There's a question about networking. So what are your best tips for talking to a networker, and what types of questions and things are discussed?
I mean, in terms of networking, I mean, of course, I prefer to network in like face to face rather than being like in a virtual environment. Like we can see the people can really see you. I think it's really like just be confident, being yourself. A lot of techniques, like even the university will offer you, will give you training courses in terms of like do some research, what's the good question to ask about. But really just go in there, be confident, like be confident, be yourself, and have fun. By the way, networking, it's not something everybody like likes to do, but that's something I feel like it's necessary, like you have to do in order to, you know, to figuring out like some your career choice, figuring out like what you want to do in the future. So really it's just like be confident and go out there and just talking to people. It's okay, nobody is judging nobody. Just so it's so yeah, basically, yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah. I can just add like just one more thing to I know what Mark, and I completely do agree with you, Mark. One of the things that I would definitely say is, you know, when you walk into a conversation, kind of have a sense of what is the objective too. You know, I find that let's just say if you want to speak to a director of a company, just know that his time is very valuable, or you know, her time is extremely valuable. So the time that you have spent with the person, don't talk about stuff that's not relevant sometimes, like trying to, you know, keep it on topic about and being, you know, concise in what you're saying is really, really important. And just one more thing is that 97% of your friendships and relationships are based on your first impression. And your first impression you're making in like 7 seconds of meeting that person. And if you fail to make a good first impressions, believe it or not, statistically speaking, it would take you 7 meetings to change that either person's mind about who you are. That means if you make a first bad impression, it would take you 7 more meetings to change the idea of, you know, who you are. Now, I'm sure all of you don't want to waste 7 more meetings. And if you do, that's a whole different topic, but try and make a good first impression and join the ambassador program. We have a whole workshop on this. I urge you to join it because we'll help you make a good first impression and be ideal at networking. Yeah, awesome, great.
Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. So yeah. Just want to thank all the presenters in every workshop. I want to thank Levine and Mark. You guys did an excellent job. I want to thank Farah, who did a great job behind the scenes as well. And most importantly, I want to thank you high school students for attending these events. We hope it was well worth your time, and we hope it helped you find a better path moving forward for what you want to do and how you want your life to unfold. So on that note, remember to complete the Instagram story challenge and the feedback forms if you wish to move to the DECA ICDC. That is very important. So yeah, guys, you're free to leave now, and we hope you have a good rest of your Saturday, and have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Keaton and Farah, and thank you to all of you. Have a great weekend, and thank you, Mark.
You too.
Cheers.
You too.